let's get this off my chest right now, and we can make a segment out of it. This past week was boys volleyball. Okay, we got some pretty good teams here. Guilford and Jefferson went to sectionals. They both lost last night, but they were very competitive. I go to the first game, I think it was Tuesday night, and all of a sudden I look over and I see the one kid that's a foreign exchange student for Keith, Mitar Petrovic. He's a really good soccer player. He's a really good basketball player. Played both sports for Keith this year. Keith was regional runner-up in boys basketball. He lost to Christian Life. In soccer, they were really good. And he was doing good in volleyball. Supposedly, this is a story I'm getting, and I've covered some bases and talked to, you know how that is, IHSA,
Right.
said that they got an anonymous call, said he wasn't eligible, da-da-da-da-da-da. One anonymous call got him kicked out of the whole tournament.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, you mean he played through all those other sports? Supposedly, an exchange student, you'd have to have paperwork filled out already.
Right.
And the state would have to look at it. The second day, I thought he was going to play the way we were informed. They said that he worked 3 hours on his paperwork. They got it into they faxed it into, it was a lot of paperwork, faxed it into the state. State calls him back, so we don't have time to finish this today. He can't play. I go, you don't have time to do something like that, but you got time to...
Right. You got time after he's playing his third sport of the season to figure out that he...
Yeah. And I don't know who did the call, Matt, but one anonymous call. If you want to get rid of somebody nowadays, you might want to make those calls.
And here's probably the most disturbing part to me is that somebody made an anonymous phone call that people that, and I'm sure it was an adult, that adults are so caught up in this high school winning thing that they had to make a call and take that away from a kid
who's going home in like 3 days.
Yeah.
You know, after being here, I think he's from Bosnia.
Yeah. How good do you feel, you know, that this kid's coming to our country, you know, having probably a good year playing these sports and all that, probably made some good friends from playing that and all those kind of things. And, you know, maybe he's going to have a chance for a good story to come back. And maybe they don't win anyway, even if he plays. Who knows?
It would have made a difference.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have. Yeah. You never know what would have happened.
That's why they called.
and yeah, some adult somewhere decided that they were going to make an anonymous phone call to take that away from the kid.
Well, you know, the worst thing is that all the stuff we've talked about in the past, and they're blatant about it.
Oh, yeah.
They're blatant. I know a case of a local, well, she's not local, but her dad's local.
Yeah.
Where she ended up transferring from a private school to a public school, even wrote in the article in the Chicago Tribune when asked, well, we followed all the IHSA rules. We relocated so she could play, which tells me that she wanted to play sports at that school, which they say is part of the main rule, right?
Right.
You can't transfer just to, initiate a new athletic environment.
Right.
But that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because nobody called and complained about it.
Exactly.
Except for me, I sent them the stuff, and that didn't work. So I guess you have to be a school person. I don't know.
But it's ridiculous on the IHSA standpoint, too, that this kid's, it's his third sport, almost done with his third sport. You know, we're almost done with the whole year, you know, and they just now, you know, and if it wouldn't have gotten a phone call, they wouldn't have even known. But then they figure out that he didn't have the right paperwork in.
Yeah.
That's like, don't you guys check that when it comes in?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure there's a lot of it that comes in. I understand that. I understand it might take a few weeks to get through them all because I'm sure, especially at the beginning of the year, I'm sure you get a flood of them and all that. So I can understand it takes a little bit of time, but it shouldn't take the entire season to figure out.
And one call shouldn't make a difference.
And here's the other thing, too, is, you know, especially if the kid filled out paperwork to begin with and maybe just filled out the wrong thing, don't you give them a chance and say, hey, you know what? It's the wrong stuff. Why don't you fill this out real quick? And, you know, we'll let you go on.
And that puts the AD, it puts the coach, it puts the team all in some really weird positions. You know, Rob Nunez is one of the best guys, and he is very, very careful on this stuff because he understands what, you know, like Don Gillingham told us, said being a private school in Illinois is like being a Democrat in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying, and public schools are just as bad. We've seen those things. I mean, just check out any Chicago story about a kid transferring.
Yeah.
The kid that went from... Morgan Park after they win the state goes right back home to Georgia the same day.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff, that they let that, okay, my solution, and we've talked about it, get rid of the rules if you're not going to enforce them.
Exactly. If it's not going to be the same for everybody, then let everybody do the same thing. You know, just get rid of it all and let them go. You know, what else are you going to do? Because otherwise, you're going to have situations that aren't fair, you know, and especially, and it always seems to be kids that are trying to do the right thing are the ones that more often than not seem to get caught. You know, and it's the ones like that, you know, fly by night come in. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. Kids that play for 2 or 3 different schools in their high school career. Those are the ones that nothing ever seems to happen to.
And if you want to get it right, let's just get rid of it because they're not going to enforce it. They are not going to enforce it the way it probably is meant to be enforced.
Right.
And they're supposed to have that committee, but I haven't heard any more. Unless I bug the state, they don't get back to me on that.
But, as we see from this story, though, a lot of it comes down to complaints.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. And I think that's why part of the reason why you see it so prevalent in Chicago is because they all know that they can benefit from it. So I think they're all going to say, we're not going to call and complain, because, hey, next year it could be us that's getting the player in.
Yeah, you keep your mouth shut, we'll keep until tournament time, and then somebody
and then
lets
all
it
of
rip.
a sudden it's, but so I think that's what you see. And I think in some of these other areas, you just get people that are more apt to complain. Especially when maybe a team doesn't always have a great player. Maybe they're getting a chance to do something they haven't done before, and all, so they're gonna speak up. But we've seen it before. I guarantee you, because the Posley situation was something similar.
I'm sure that it's exactly a call.
It was something similar. I know that it was a call. It was something similar, but if nobody ever makes that phone call, I bet you the IHSA never knows the difference, and there he is. He's playing, and it goes all the way through. And it's the same thing with a lot of players. The ones that get caught, or don't get to play, it's the ones that usually had somebody complained about them. Yeah,
or they're the ones that are the honest ones and say, okay, we'll check it out and do it.
Right.
And it's just sad because it just puts a bad situation. They have this program in IHSA, which I think is probably a good program. It's called Attitude. They have the little mascot. Well, the attitude stinks when you got people calling up and squealing on each other.
Exactly.
And not, making
and it's all in the sake of winning. I tell you what, if this kid was on the worst team in the regional and they were going to get blasted in their first game, nobody would have made the phone call. They wouldn't have cared. They would have let him go. But when you've got a threat, that's when people are going to look into these things, and here's what I don't understand. How does this person even know that this kid didn't fill out the right forms? I'm guessing that they just called and hoped that maybe something would happen. I don't know.
Well, there's some people that'll dig into that pretty hard.
I know. It's crazy how all that happens.
But an anonymous phone call, it should be somebody, but it should be on record who did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right?
If you're going to make that phone call, because like I said, it's ridiculous for an adult, because I assume it was an adult.
Kids would not do that.
Exactly. To take that away from a kid. So if you're going to do that, let's not make it an anonymous phone call. Let's say, hey, I'm the one that called, and here's why I called. Because again, I don't think they were trying to do anything unseemly with a foreign exchange student who, like I said, is about to go home, was probably having a great year.
Just because he's getting a great education.
Going to have all sorts of memories to go back with, and you take that away from a kid. I understand if maybe there's some underhanded things going on with a transfer or something like that. But, in a situation like this, to take that away from a kid, it's just ridiculous.
He dressed on the championship game. They lost a hard-fought match to Guilford. It was really a good game.
Yeah.
But he sat on the bench and was in uniform. The first night, you could just tell it was kind of a situation where he felt bad. And if you're going to be nasty about stuff, you ought to be the one that give me a call or write me an email and tell me who you are, and I'll post it in the story I'm going to do on this.
Right.
So it's easy to get away with it when you're anonymous.
And let us know what your reasons were beyond just trying to, weaken another team to give your team a better chance to win.
Yeah. The ones they should take care of, they don't. They let them get away with it.
Exactly.
They also had some issues with the nice kid out of Harlem. He played volleyball this year. And Harlem, I don't think maybe Harlem won one match this year. But when you start picking on these nice kids that are exchanged, and they were both nice kids.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So Harlem wins one game, nobody cares. Nobody said anything. Because I'm sure...
He played.
I'm sure they probably filled out the same paperwork, being foreign exchange students. I mean, maybe they got the right ones the first time. Who knows? But
shame on the IHSA for not knowing about it.
And that's the thing. Shame on the IHSA for not knowing and for not giving them a chance to correct the mistake.
Yeah.
And to say, hey, this is the wrong stuff. If you can fill this out today, we'll glance at it real quick. Because you mean to tell me, I don't know how many pages this stuff is, but you mean to tell me they can't take, 10 minutes to just at least glance through it and say, yeah, you know what, this looks like it's the right stuff.
You can do bloody murder in the IHSA and get away with it, but don't fill out that paperwork, buddy.
As long as nobody calls on you.
You're done. I think I'm on the poop list again.
Yeah,
and you might be right there behind me.
I might be on this one.
But we shouldn't have to talk about this all. It just gets to be a regular thing.
My bigger complaint isn't with the IHSA. I mean, yes, it's ridiculous that they couldn't look through paperwork, didn't realize it, all that stuff. My bigger complaint is with the anonymous person who calls on the kid.
Yeah, give us a call. We'll talk to you today.